radical, and I'm a radical. So I'm a radical. Why? Because I believe, that the poor should eat, and that we should have a system in place that ensures that. So she's not a radical. I'm not saying she doesn't believe that the poor should eat. I just don't know how far she's willing to go. And she has proven in the past that she's not willing to go very far. Having said that, she's going to take power now, and there's a huge popular movement in Chile, which is led mostly by the student movement, which is demanding constitutional change, because the constitution that is in Chile is still Pinochet's constitution. And they are willing to, they're taken to the streets. There's a march going on this month, actually. Apparently, hundreds of thousands of people will take part in this march to let her know that if she is willing to take the steps to rewrite the Constitution through constituent assemblies, wherein there will be town hall meetings in every community, and the population of Chile will rewrite the Constitution the way that it has been done in Venezuela, in Bolivia, in Ecuador, that they will support her, that they will stand with her. So we're hoping that she's willing to do that. The army in Chile is very powerful, very well-funded, and very right-wing, so she's afraid of them, rightly so. So I don't know how far she's going to go, and I'm hoping that she's more radical this time around.
Just wondering if your mother was ever able to go back to Chile.
Sorry, could you maybe stand up? I'm not sure if people over here.
I don't want to quote tonight, but did your mother ever get back to Chile?
Yes, my mother was allowed back into Chile legally in 1987 thanks to the Pope. Because the Pope always wanted to visit, Pinochet always wanted the Pope to visit Chile. And the Pope said that he would visit Chile as long as he obliterated the blacklist. So that is to say, there was a blacklist of exiles that were not allowed to return to Chile. Right after the coup, that blacklist was thousands and thousands and thousands of people. But in 1987, there were only 500 people that were left on that list that were not allowed back into Chile from exile. My mother and my uncle were two of those 500 people. So Pinochet said, okay, we'll do away with that list of 500 as long as the Pope can come to Chile. So that's how it all went down.
Carmen, I know that Chile has done a lot of things to come to terms with its past, among the things to the Reconciliation Commission. I'm always curious to see, is that really, can you talk that, can you say that the Chilean society is really reconciling, or are there still these, tensions among different people, especially the new generation, in terms of their political affiliations?
Yes. So Chile, unlike Argentina, for example, which is right next to it, has never had open trials for crimes against humanity, which are ongoing in Argentina even after all these years. Those will be ongoing in Argentina until it's done. There's no stop point for that. Chile has never had that. So there's been a truth and reconciliation meetings, but those haven't led to widespread trials for crimes against humanity. Right after the dictatorship was over, there was a commission set up called the Rettig Commission, right, which is basically all it meant, which is certainly important, but didn't mean justice for anybody, was that if you were a victim of the dictatorship, you got to go and tell your story, which would be documented and filed in a government building so that it would become official history of Chile. So thousands and thousands and thousands of people went to this office to tell their story and to have it documented. So then now that's considered official history, the official story of Chile. All these people were tortured, all these people were in such and such concentration camps, all these people were imprisoned, all these people were exiled. But that doesn't mean that that led to any kind of trial. It was just a recording of events. Now, I haven't been to Chile in a very long time, so everything I'm going to say now is just based on everything I read and my family in Chile. Apparently, it's still very divided. And it's a country that's very much apparently still suffering from a state of amnesia, where a lot of the trauma from the dictatorship has not been dealt with. And what's happening with the student movement, which is the first generation that was born after the dictatorship, is they're taking the reins and demanding to know the story, and demanding that change, including constitutional change. Now, the reason being that, so they go out into the streets and they get the shit kicked out of them by the military police. The reason that they're doing this is because they don't live with the terror that I described in the book that my generation and older than me lives with. So that terror is literally in your cells, and people are still apparently living with that in Chile. But the new generation does not have that experience. So they are willing to go out and demand for change, and also demand for the real stories to be told. Now, I've said that there haven't been trials for crimes against humanity, but there have been trials. So there are, like the head of the secret police from that time is in jail. I think there's about 75 military men in jail because families have gotten together and tried them. But there have not been widespread trials for crimes against humanity.
So we have time for maybe 2 more questions or comments. Sorry, would you like to stand up just so?
I wonder if you have any problem with your identity as a teenager. You grew up in Canada and then went to Chile, where the societies are so much different.
Oh yeah, I had a huge identity crisis. It was very, very different. Yeah.
Could you explain a little bit, because they are so different and they were so young, and would you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, my crisis basically had to do with the following. I'm bicultural, like I'm sure many of you in this room are. Bicultural meaning that in Canada, I'm monocultural. And in Chile, I'm monocultural. So what does that mean? That in Canada, people can assume that I was born here and have absolutely no other culture because I get everything. I get the social signals. I get everything. And in Chile, I can pass for never having left Chile. In fact, I play that game when I get on the bus and people talk to me on the bus. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm from Ñuñoa, la la la, and they just assume I've lived there my entire life. So it is very difficult for my Canadian friends to understand that there was ever any kind of crisis. And it is very difficult for my Latino friends to understand that there was ever any kind of crisis because I am invisible in both places. I'm not visible as a person from a different culture, right? So a lot of that crisis was interior because it was very difficult to explain to people to whom I was invisible, to whom I was just one of them.